Since I've been alive, the Kentucky Wildcat fans have had an unyielding amount of hatred towards the Duke Blue Devils basketball team. It all started in 1992 during the Elite Eight matchup of Duke versus Kentucky, when Christian Laettner stomped on a Kentucky player by the name of Aminu Timberlake after he had fallen on the court. Laettner was not ejected from the game, and because of this, he went on to hit what is now known as the shot and squash Kentucky's fate and championship hopes. This leads us to 2019, where both Kentucky and Duke have been responsible for some of the best talent that is currently in the NBA. Today, I'll pull all of the best current players that were drafted from Duke and Kentucky and place them on their own NBA teams. Okay, so how we're going to go about this, we're going to jump into my league. We're going to use a custom roster, right, starting the regular season. As far as this, we're going to end up moving the Cavaliers to the Western Conference. Let's slide these teams down. All right, and so now we're going to add both Duke and Kentucky to the Eastern Conference. I would put them in the West, but there's a lot of competition in the West. West is boring. We're going to put them in the East. But I want to put them in the same conference so it's a fair competitive level. If one's in the West and one's in the East, one record might look worse than the other, and that may not be the actuality of how talented their team is. All right, so let's look for a Kentucky team. We'll download this one. Right, now we're going to add Duke's team. Okay, so now each side of the conference has 16 teams in it, so we're going to go ahead and advance. I'm going to mess with the trading, so I'm going to keep these settings as this so that I can trade the players onto Kentucky and Duke appropriately. I'm going to turn injuries off. So for protected players, I'm going to let NBA teams protect as many players as they want because it doesn't matter because we're going to end up trading whatever's left in order to get the certain players that we need. All right, we're going to take control of Duke and Kentucky to ensure that they do not sign anyone else. All right, let's jump into the expansion draft. Really, it doesn't matter who we draft. I'm going to be forcing all these trades anyways. I cannot believe some of these players didn't get claimed. So we'll simulate the rest of the draft, and we'll load the appropriate draft classes. Okay, so now we're going to end up trading for all the players that we need. We'll start off with Duke, and we are going to trade for Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving for Gordon Hayward. Sounds great. Let's do it. Jason Tatum, come on over. Let's grab the beast, Zion. Let's ruin the Knicks' hopes and dreams. We're going to take RJ Barrett from them. Okay, we're going to run through the rest of these trades really fast. Okay, so the Duke roster is set. We have Kyrie Irving, Jason Tatum, Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, Marvin Bagley III, JJ Redick, Jabari Parker, RJ Barrett, Austin Rivers, Wendell Carter Jr., Rodney Hood, Jahlil Okafor, and Cam Reddish. Let's set the Kentucky one. All right, your Kentucky roster is set. These are the best players since 2006 that are still currently in the league. Anthony Davis, Karl Anthony Towns, Jamal Murray, Devin Booker, John Wall, De'Aaron Fox, DeMarcus Cousins, Enes Kanter, Willie Cauley-Stein, Bam Adebayo, Rajon Rondo, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Nerlens Noel, and MKG. So this roster looks fantastic. You have 93, 88, 86, 85, 84 for the top 5 players. And Duke has 90, 86, 81, 80, and 79. So both rosters are impressive. Kentucky seems to be naturally more talented at this point. However, Duke seems to be much younger and has much more room for development. We're going to simulate 3 years and see what the outcomes are at the end of each of those 3 years. And then we'll get to that special surprise at the end. Lastly, just to let you know, I have edited everyone's contracts so they can't leave us. Okay, so this is the rotation for Duke. They have Kyrie Irving, RJ Barrett, Jason Tatum, Zion Williamson. You can read the minutes. Brandon Ingram, Marvin Bagley, JJ Redick, and Jabari Parker, with Austin Rivers as the 10th man. Kentucky is going to be having Jamal Murray, Devin Booker, MKG starting at small forward. Interesting. Anthony Davis at 35, and then Karl Anthony Towns, John Wall, De'Aaron Fox, DeMarcus Cousins, Enes Kanter, and Willie Cauley-Stein. Whew, gosh, they are deep at point guard. Okay, let's sim the regular season and see how well they do. So Duke only had 13 players on the roster, so I'll just assign Nick Stauskas, and I'm trading him for Tyus Jones real quick. Okay, redo the lineups. All right, let's jump back into it. Okay, so we're here at the end of the regular season, and Duke ends up going 57-25. Russell Westbrook is your MVP. John Morant, Dennis Schroeder, all that good stuff. So Kentucky goes 69-13, and Millen Mack is your coach of the year. Just true dominance showing out of Kentucky Wildcats. Duke fans, don't at me. I'm just reading the stats. All right, for All-NBA first team, no Kentucky players or Duke players. None here either, probably because there's so many good people. Zion Williamson gets the third team for Duke. Nothing for those teams. Zion, of course. I'm sure there's a lot of Duke players in here. No? Wow, okay. So yeah, those are your teams. As far as what the playoffs look like, it looks like Kentucky's at the first seed and Duke is at the second seed in the East. Let's go ahead and jump in to see how everyone performed this year and what their stats look like for both Kentucky and Duke. Kyrie Irving led the Duke Blue Devils with 24 points per game, 4 rebounds, 6.6 assists. Good field goal percentage, great three-point percentage. He was really just being a leader out there, which is weird because he wasn't a leader with the Celtics. Zion Williamson had a fantastic year, almost averaging a double-double. Jason Tatum probably should have performed better there, but it is what it is. But they are very deep.
That's what she said.
Wendell Carter had a good year. RJ Barrett, not too bad. It's going to be interesting to see what happens to this team with all these young players next year. Okay, so as far as Kentucky, Anthony Davis had 20 points and 10 rebounds. Did some work on defense as well. Devin Booker had a really great year. 2 rebounds, 4.4 assists. And everyone just shooting fantastic percentages from the field. Like, I guess everything is just open for them with all this talent. John Wall had a good year and he shot a good percentage, so maybe this is how John Wall gets his career on track. He's just on a God team. Jamal Murray had a good year as well. So yeah, that's pretty awesome for them. Okay, let's simulate the first round of the playoffs and see what happens. Okay, Kentucky and Duke are both up 3-1. Cool, so Kentucky and Duke both get out of their playoff series in the first year. So there's a chance that they meet each other in the conference finals. Let's see if it happens. Kentucky wins first game. Kentucky wins second. Duke's up 2-1. All right, Kentucky advances. Duke advances. All right, so we're going to see Kentucky versus Duke in the first year of this simulation. All right, let's simulate this one game by game and just see what happens here. First game goes to the Duke Blue Devils. Second game, Kentucky Wildcats. Third game, Duke again. Wow, this is close. Fourth game. Oh my gosh, it is going back and forth right now. Fifth game. Oh, Kentucky wins 2 in a row right there. All right, this could be it, Duke. Oh, Duke holds on. This is going to a 7th game. They are bringing this into the NBA. This series is way too competitive right now. All right, this is the last game of the series. Kentucky, Duke. Who wins it? All right, here we go. Oh, Kentucky gets the win in a 7-game competitive series against Duke. So in the last game, Kentucky won 119-117 against Duke. They're living up to the competitive nature of both of these programs. So Anthony Davis has 23 points, 10 rebounds in the closeout game. John Wall has 20 points. Cat has 16. And for Duke, Kyrie Irving just tried to do it himself, and he had 47 points. He missed 8 shots and took 26 attempts. Okay, with that, we're going to go ahead and just simulate the rest of the season. We'll see if Kentucky can end up beating Paul George and Kawhi Leonard on the Clippers. So in the first year, Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, and the Clippers are no match for the Kentucky Wildcats. They beat them in a 4-1 NBA Finals. And John Wall is your Finals MVP. You would think it'd be Anthony Davis or Devin Booker, but no, it's John Wall. Insane. Okay, let's jump into the next offseason. Let's go ahead and get everything prepared for the next season. Let's see how things change up. Okay, so for the offseason, I'm just going to simulate everything through. I'm going to take care of all the staff signings for each team. I know a lot of you are wondering, what are you going to do with training, Grindoc? So for training camps, I'm only going to give perimeter shooting to the best, youngest, either point guard or wing on the team, best and youngest. And then for the power forward and center position for each team, we're going to send them to rebounding camp. I think that is a fair way to take care of it. I don't want to give an untapped potential to someone and give another untapped potential there. I think it's more fair if we just help beef up their stats. So that's what we're going to do for each of the offseason. As far as draft lottery, it looks like the Timberwolves win the draft lottery since we took Karl Anthony Towns. And the Celtics are second since we took De'Aaron Fox from them, probably. Oh, gosh. The Celtics are second because we took De'Aaron Fox from Sacramento Kings, which is the pick that the Celtics had. It's amazing what we did is messed up the NBA. Okay, so just to be fair, the Kentucky Wildcats needed an assistant GM, and he has B and B- in trading. And then on Duke's end, they have a B+ and B- for their assistant GM. One's a B+, one's a B on contracts. I get that, but I got as close as I could to keep it as even as possible. So don't at me, fans. Head scouts stayed the same, CC. So we're good there. And then CFO, we had a C+. You're both C+ in business. One has a B potential, one has a C+, but I did the best I can. I hadn't mentioned it before, but in the NBA draft, we're not going to draft anyone. We're going to be trading our picks every year for future picks. I don't want to mess with these rosters in any way. I want to keep them with real players that are kind of up to date and let them develop on their own. All right, so with that, I'm going to jump into the draft and trade our picks. Okay, we're in rookie signings. I did have to end up drafting someone in the second round, but I'm just not going to sign them to the roster. So for Duke, Tyler Bay, sorry, you're not getting signed. Team options, Marvin Bagley, of course. We'll accept. And then Kentucky doesn't have any. Okay, so we're not going to sign anyone free agents, so let's go ahead and advance through to player progression. While Jason Tatum increased a ton, he developed really well. Brandon Ingram as well. Zion, not so much, which is kind of surprising. I know if we move him to small forward, his overall increases and all that good stuff, but he's fine. We're not going to do any of that. Marvin Bagley, Wendell Carter. So a lot of the Duke young players are starting to develop, and we'll see if it has any impact on this upcoming year. Cam Reddish, Shilo Okafor, RJ Barrett hardly increased. This is so weird. He must not have played very many minutes or something, which I don't think he did. I think he came off the bench. Kentucky, Karl Anthony Towns increased a lot, so he got even better. AD went up. Devin Booker. Yeah, they've continued to improve overall. Rondo's the only one that's regressing at this point because he's 34 years old. And then for Duke, did JJ Redick decline? Yeah, so JJ Redick only declined a little bit, even though he's only 36 years old. All right, as I stated before, we only have one developmental training camp. So for each team, I am going to do perimeter shooting to their youngest, best wing or point guard. Okay, so for Duke, it's easy. Their youngest wing is RJ Barrett at 20 years old, and he is their best also, so there's no tie there. So we're going to give perimeter shooting to RJ Barrett. For Kentucky, their youngest best player, the youngest player on Kentucky's roster is 22 years old, and it's De'Aaron Fox and Shea. So out of the two, De'Aaron Fox is the same age as Shea, but he has a higher overall, so he's going to get the perimeter shooting upgrade. All right, we're going to advance. We're going to reset roster rotation just to give you a look at what they're putting out. Same thing for Duke. This is what they're putting out. All right, and then also this year we're going to put the team's best system proficiency. So it looks like balance for Duke. And we're going to go balance Kentucky as well because that's the style of the coach. Okay, we're all set. Let's simulate the regular season and see how this one goes. Okay, the season has come to an end and the Kentucky Wildcats finished at 66-16. Again, Russell Westbrook is your most valuable player. Grant Williams is Sixth Man of the Year. Giannis Defensive Player of the Year. Michael Porter Jr. is the most improved. And again, Millen Mack wins Coach of the Year, coaching the Kentucky Wildcats. All right, let's see if any Duke or Kentucky players got in any of the teams. Still nothing. Anthony Davis got on the third team for the Kentucky Wildcats. No one on the second team. John Wall for all defensive second team. That's nice. And we shouldn't have any rookies. So simulate through and let's see how Duke ended up finished the season. Duke is the second seed and they finished 59-23. So they are much more competitive this year with Kentucky. As far as how the players performed this year, on Duke, Kyrie Irving had 22.5 points a game. He upped his assists and he shot well from the field. Zion Williamson looks like he's had a decent year. Jason Tatum as well. And yeah, so everything is kind of spread out from there. Your Kentucky Wildcats, Anthony Davis, 19 points a game, almost 10 rebounds. Devin Booker still doing well. Pretty much a reflection of what happened last year. Okay, let's simulate the first round of the playoffs and see what happens. Kentucky and Duke both go up 1, both go up 2. Duke gets the third. All right, Duke advances. Oh, okay, Kentucky advances. Magic almost gave them a run for their money. All right, so Kentucky has to play the Brooklyn Nets, and Duke has to play the Boston Celtics. We're going to simulate these game by game. Kentucky has to play Dinwiddie, Temple, Durant, Prince, and DeAndre Jordan. So let's see how well they do there. All right, so they win their first, and Duke wins their first. And just to let you know, they're playing Kemba Walker, Marcus Smart, Romeo Langford, Paul Millsap, and James Wiseman on the Celtics. Kentucky is tied 1-1, and Duke is up 2-0 on the Celtics. Let's see how the third game goes. Duke's 3-0. Kentucky goes up 1 game against the Nets. Okay, both series are tied 3-1. Let's see if both of them close out right here. Okay, you have Duke and Kentucky again in the conference finals. Last time, Kentucky took the crown. Duke, is this your chance? For your starting lineups, just to remind you, Jamal Murray, Devin Booker, MKG, Anthony Davis, and Karl Anthony Towns. For Duke, Kyrie Irving, JJ Redick, Jason Tatum, Zion Williamson, and Wendell Carter Jr. Let's simulate the first game of the series. Kentucky takes the first one. Kentucky takes the second one. Come on, Duke Blue Devils, where you at? All right, there we go. They're starting to come back. Game's 2-1. 3-1 Kentucky. The series might be over. All right, so Kentucky again eliminates Duke 4-1. Simulate to the championship game. It is a complete rematch of last year's championship game. I believe last year Kentucky beat the Clippers 4-1. Let's see if the Clippers can stay a little bit more competitive. We're just going to simulate the round. All right, 2, 3. Oh, my goodness. Okay, they at least got one win in again. So Kentucky wins back-to-back championships and beats the Clippers 4-1. Your most valuable player this year is Anthony Davis, which is a bit more realistic than having John Wall in there. And he had 20 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, and almost 2 steals a game. All right, we're going to skip through the offseason really quick, and we're going to skip to the third and final year of this matchup between Kentucky and Duke and see who comes out on top. I just had an idea. I think for the last year of this, we are going to move Kentucky to the Western Conference and keep Duke in the Eastern Conference and see if we can get these two teams in the NBA Finals head-to-head. So with that, we're going to go ahead and take the Cleveland Cavaliers, and we're going to swap them with the Kentucky Wildcats. Player progression, Anthony Davis. It looks like Kentucky's starting to top out here. So they don't have a whole lot of development on their roster this year. The Duke Blue Devils, everyone's developing a little bit more than the Kentucky roster. Doesn't surprise me because they are much younger as well. Okay, so this year we're going to do the exact same thing we did last year for training camps, except that instead of perimeter shooting, we're going to do rebounding, and we're going to do the same rule to whatever the power forward or center is on each team. So we're looking for the youngest and the most talented out of those players, and we're going to give it to them. Duke has 1 training camp, and Kentucky has 2 because of their trainer, but we're only going to use 1 of the training camps. Yeah, so Kentucky's youngest big man is Bam Adebayo, so we're going to go ahead and throw rebounding training camp to him. And then for Duke, looks like it might be Wendell Carter. Nope, Zion. For Duke, it looks like it's going to be Zion and Marvin Bagley, and they're both tied for overall ratings. Since we are doing the youngest and best player, whoever's the better rebounder out of Zion and Bagley will get the training camp. All right, so for rebounding, we're at 72-88 for Zion and 83-74 for Bagley. We're not going to include the box out stat, so we're just going to go purely off rebounding. And it looks like Zion would be the winner then, because he'd have the total difference between the two. So we're going to throw it to Zion Williamson. Rebuild rotation. For the last year, Kyrie Irving's at 35, Cam Reddish 26. So Cam Reddish is now in the starting lineup as opposed to J.J. Redick. Jason Tatum at 33, Zion Williamson 27, Wendell Carter 26, Brandon Ingram, Marvin Bagley, Parker, R.J. Barrett, and J.J. Redick round out your bench. Kentucky is kind of sticking with the lineup they have the whole time. Jamal Murray, Devin Booker, MKG, AD, and Cat. And here's their bench players. For system proficiency, we're just going to keep both teams unbalanced, so I'm not really worried about that. Okay, so now we're going to send the regular season, and we'll see how things shake up in the playoffs. All right, so we're here at the end of the regular season, and Kentucky ended up going 66-16 once again. Steph Curry is your most valuable player with 33.6 points per game. DeJounte Murray is Sixth Man of the Year. Giannis is Defensive Player of the Year. And your most improved is R.J. Hampton. And again, Millen Mack is the head coach for the 3rd year in a row, and everyone hates him. First team, no Duke or Kentucky player made it. For the All-NBA 3rd team, Kyrie Irving ended up making the roster. And then it doesn't look like we have any other players from Kentucky or Duke in any other teams. All right, so your first seed on the Western Conference is your Kentucky Wildcats. And your first seed in the Eastern Conference is the Duke Blue Devils. Just to let you know, the Duke Blue Devils ended up going 61-21 this year. So if we take a closer look at that, Blue Devils in their first year had 57 wins, their second year had 59 wins, and then their third year had 61 wins. Very interesting. Kentucky started off with 69 wins and then has dropped to 66 wins over the last 2 years. With that, let's go ahead and jump into the player stats and see how everyone performed. I'm sure it's kind of similar to what we've seen. Yeah, so it's basically about what we'd expect again. So yeah, here's your Kentucky stats. Nothing has really changed much or anything like that. We're going to go ahead and simulate the first round, and let's see if we can end up getting Duke and Kentucky in the championship game. So in the first round, Kentucky and Duke are taking no prisoners. Duke sweeps the New York Knicks, and Kentucky sweeps the Denver Nuggets. Okay, we're going to simulate the second round game by game. First game, Kentucky and Duke win. Nice. Second game. All right, Kentucky and Duke win again. They might both sweep this series as well. Ooh, as soon as I say that, they both lose. I better watch my mouth, right? Oh my goodness. So the Rockets and Brooklyn Nets have tied their series against Duke and Kentucky. So Kentucky and Duke both pull it out in the fifth game. All right, Kentucky and Duke both advance to the conference finals. Okay, so Kentucky is going against the Memphis Grizzlies, and Duke is going up against the Atlanta Hawks. The Grizzlies have John Morant, Josh Jackson, Kyle Anderson, Jaren Jackson, and Andre Drummond in their starting lineup. The Hawks have Trae Young, Kevin Huerter, DeAndre Hunter, Jalen Smith, and Tristan Thompson in their starting lineup. Okay, so Kentucky and Duke are both in the NBA Conference Finals. We're going to simulate both of the series, and hopefully Duke and Kentucky can meet in the championship game. Duke wins the first, Kentucky wins the first. All right, both series are 2-2, 3-3-2. Kentucky and Duke are in the NBA Finals against each other head to head. I cannot believe this is happening. This is just insane that this simulation's working out this way. Okay, so Kentucky versus Duke. All right, Duke, this is your final chance to win. Kentucky has beaten you both years in the playoffs, but this time it's for everything. It's for the NBA Finals. Duke versus Kentucky. Who will come out on top? First game goes to the Kentucky Wildcats. Second game goes to the Kentucky Wildcats. Third game goes to the Kentucky Wildcats. And lastly, oh, Duke is competitive. They got a win in. Last game of the series, Kentucky wins in 5. So there you have it. It looks like Kentucky has the best college players in the NBA, according to NBA 2K19. However, I would like to say that Duke did improve each year. As I stated before, they had 57 wins in their first year, 59 in the second, and 61 in the third. So they did improve every year. I wonder what the simulation would look like if we gave it 3 or 4 more years. Would Kentucky age out and Duke take over? Who knows? I hope you've enjoyed today's video about the rivalry between the Kentucky Wildcats and the Duke Blue Devils. I had a great time making this video for you, and I hope you had a wonderful time watching it. In order for me to grow and to continue to produce more content, please like and subscribe. Also leave a comment down below of what type of video you would like to see next. I would love to hear your suggestions. Alright, I'll catch you in the next one. Thank you.